Hi, I'm Ben, and thanks for tuning into the Beyond Blue program. I'll be hanging with you guys a bit for the next 10 weeks or so. A lot of you would have already done the first Beyond Blue Year 8 program last year. We got a lot of good response from students and from teachers, and we reckon you'll get even more out of what we got lined up for you this year. Now, I know it's a busy time for you guys with all the stuff that you've got happening. Dealing with teachers and family, getting in some sport, hanging with friends, getting a job or getting dates, even going out more and getting a little more independence. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. There's also a lot of ordinary stuff, I'm sure, like pressures of schoolwork, exams, even just hassles with friends and folks. So we're going to take a closer look at some of these things, and I promise it's not going to be a drag. I think we'll have a bit of fun and might even learn some useful stuff too. Now, you might be doing all right and think you don't need a program that helps you get on better with others because you already do that well. Well, that's great. Maybe you could help share some of that stuff that you do well with the others. It's always good to look at things from different ways and from different perspectives, because while you might not need this stuff right now, it might be useful to keep it up here for later on. That's what we'll be looking at in this program. What relationships are, what they mean to us, how they work, and how to make them work better. Relationships are pretty much important no matter what age we are. If you need proof of how important relationships are, check these guys. This is Raw Metal, a bunch of guys who are really making a name for themselves doing what they enjoy. But they have to spend a lot of time together, rehearsing, working, playing, travelling. So how they understand each other is really important. Because if, when they're working, one of them is out of step, it can put them all out. So even when they're just hanging together, they still need to know how to get along.
In our group, we spend a lot of time together, and I consider these guys my best friends because we do work together, so we have pressures of work. We also socialise together, so we sort of see each other in lots of different lights, I guess, and being able to be totally comfortable in all those aspects is really important, and it helps us to be really strong as a group so that we can take ourselves through any problems that might come up.
I think there's a huge difference in trying to achieve your goals on your own as opposed to with a group like this, or any group in general. Everyone has, the roller coaster of life, and at times you're up and you're really high and you're motivated and you're striving hard to achieve your goal. But when you're on your own, as soon as that goes, the goal kind of goes with it. Whereas with all of these guys here, we've got times when there'll be a few of us that are really motivated, and then maybe a couple of us are a bit down, but the other guys will then pull you up and, get you back on the right track.
When I was in the lower grades at high school, I can remember getting, picked on by the kids in higher grades and that sort of thing. But I can remember thinking, because they'd pick on me for dancing, they'd, I'd never done ballet in my life, and they'd go ballet boy, whatever. So I can remember, thinking to myself that it never really mattered though, because I enjoyed dancing so much.
Afternoon sport practice would clash with dance rehearsal or whatever it was. And I found it pretty difficult at the time to keep motivated about dancing when so many of my mates were just playing sport every afternoon, doing what they loved. And while I loved them both, when all your mates are really into something, I guess it's harder to stick with the other thing, you sort of follow along what your mates are into, especially if they're really close mates and stuff like that. There's a few awkward incidents where I had to actually leave a sporting venue to go to a dance rehearsal or something like that, and, I guess the guys didn't think that was the coolest thing to do, but,
I found that I couldn't even walk through this certain part of the school, without getting either pushed or yelled at or anything like that, And when you're in year 8 and 9, that's really intimidating, because you don't know anyone that's older than you that can protect you or whatever. And I was a short ass, so I was like 5'0" at that stage. I was a gun though, but so that was really intimidating. I think it's important that you have programs like Beyond Blue, where you can sit down and you can work through these coping mechanisms. and you can learn how to cope and how to support your friends and how to support your network. I think it's very important. It would have been sensational to have something like that available to my generation and the guys when we were growing up. So get into it, kids, it's good.
Put in a position to shine like a star. Accomplishments placed in plaques on walls.
Well, last year was a pretty bad time for me. Things weren't so great with my friends. They'd go out places and they wouldn't invite me, and when there was a party on, they wouldn't tell me about it. They suddenly just stopped talking to me and I didn't know what was wrong. It seemed to make school worse because I felt as though I had no one to talk to. I felt really isolated and alone, and I didn't want to go to school. I used to spend all my lunchtime in the library, hiding in the library. I didn't know what to do. I wondered if I'd done something. I thought there was something wrong with me.
Well, last year my friend, this guy at school, Eric, had a party. So I went, and lots of us went, and I got permission to go, but Mum said I had to be home by 10. They were drinking. One of the guys bought some bourbon. I know I shouldn't have drunk any. It wasn't really very good, but I got pretty sick, pretty drunk. Yeah, really sick. And I was late. Mum and Dad were angry, hey. I could handle them being angry, but they were really disappointed, I think. In our culture, it's really bad to go against your parents' wishes. The mood in the house was awful. I'm the oldest son, and they expected me to set a better example. I was upset too, but also angry. Some of my friends' parents didn't react as badly as mine. I wasn't allowed to go out for ages.
Year 9 started off okay. It was cool to have new teachers and stuff, but the work was harder. I was okay with a couple of subjects, but ones like science and English and geography, they were harder. I mean, you know, I tried to do the homework, but everyone was ahead of me, and I thought, I started to feel that everyone was smarter than me and just felt really bad about myself. I dreaded going into class in case the teacher asked me something, and I would stress over assignments and just kept putting them off till the last minute. I thought, what's the point in continuing with school if I can't keep up?